Hello everyone and welcome to another collections showcase, and today I will be doing part 1 of my Davros collection. So part 1 is going to encompass all of the official Davros figures we've had so far. Part 2, once I've shown them all individually as custom figure videos, will be my custom Davros figures. So here we have one of each of the official releases. We have Davros from Genesis, Davros from Destiny, Davros from Resurrection, Davros from Revelation, Davros from Remembrance, and of course Davros from the new series. So let's go through and look at each of these one by one. So first up we have Davros from Genesis of the Daleks and Destiny of the Daleks. Overall they are the same base model, that they just have a few sort of paint differences. They both feature, if I press this button on the side, the pop-out panel. All of the Davros figures except the new series and the Imperial feature that, so I'll show it on one of them. There's no point in showing it on all of them. So yeah, they're both very nicely detailed. As you can see, his control panels are nicely detailed as well. Obviously we've got some slight differences between the two there, because obviously it changed between it. Both of them have a very nice, he has his arm articulation, so he can turn it and extend it, and the wrist turns as well, but obviously generally he sits like that. So yeah, there's not a huge amount to say about these in terms of sort of what they do, because they do the same things. It's more just sort of the colour differences. Obviously, you know, it's very simple things, but it does sort of make a nice difference. One of the nice things is the Michael Wisher Davros, the original one. Obviously then you've got the David Goodison one, which has a much sort of darker complexion, is a very nice difference. But yeah, it's really nice. They're nice figures. As those of you will know, I recently did a video on how they could possibly do re-releases of Davros. It's certainly something that I think would be a good idea, and it's, you know, sort of the quality of these, you really can't, you know, it's certainly one of those things that really you can't knock. It was one of the, I think, some of Character Option's best work, so it's certainly something that I think a lot of people would like to see re-released in future. Next up we have Davros from Resurrection and Revelation. Again, there's not a huge amount of difference on these. The only sort of real differences are his control panel is painted slightly differently, but the main difference is that the Revelation Davros came with another hand, because obviously in that story he gets his hand shot off. So he came with a standard hand, but he also came with a bandaged hand. That's how I like to display him, just because it does sort of more distinguish, you know, between the two of them. And the other noticeable difference as well, which I should have pointed out, is he's got a microphone on the other hand side, compared to how it has it in Revelation. So yeah, those are very nice figures. Again, you know, it's very good design work. The head sculpt on this, I have to say, really does look like Terry Malloy. They've really done that very well. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's certainly one, again, you know, even just the standard Davroses like these, I think, are ones that I think most fans would probably prefer a re-release of the basic standard Malloy Davros, I think, over some of the Michael Wisher ones, I think, because Davros is so sort of iconic in the classic series too, as Terry Malloy. Speaking of iconic Terry Malloy Davroses, this is the one that so many people want. I think this is the one that really does deserve to be re-released sooner, because I know it's a gap that so many fans would like to fill. It is, of course, the Remembrance of the Daleks Emperor Davros. So obviously we've got Terry Malloy's head in there, but his body is obviously done so it's all covered in wires, as he was seen in Remembrance of the Daleks. There is a sort of a bit of a discrepancy between whether he's meant to be just a head, or whether he is meant to be a head surrounded by wires and electric parts and things like that, or whether it's meant to be that he has still got his body which is covered in wires. It does seem to be from the narrative, it does seem to suggest that he is just meant to be a head at this point, but I think it makes sense that there's the body under there somewhere. But yeah, it's a fantastic figure. The detailing on it is absolutely superb. When I took one of these apart, interestingly enough, I took one of these apart, I took this one apart, just to say this is still in its component forms, is interestingly, this top dome piece, obviously this bit comes off, as does this bit, and the base, but the rest of it is all one solid piece, although I think Davros's body does come out. I wasn't able to do that, and obviously his head does come off, but it's interesting that that is all one solid sculpt. So it wouldn't surprise me if perhaps part of the reason maybe it's never been reproduced again is that it is quite a lot to reproduce. So I think, as I said, I can understand why they haven't reproduced it yet, but I certainly think it is one that many fans would like to see reproduced. Even if it is just, you know, just a standalone figure as this without the destroyed Imperial he came with originally. I think that most fans would like to see just have a Imperial Davros as part of their collection. And finally, we have here Julian Bleach as Davros. Julian Bleach's portrayal of Davros, I think, is absolutely fantastic, and I love the way that they have updated the character, but at the same time kept him very sort of iconic to what Davros is. It sort of really does. It really does, you know, suit the character as to what he's become, you know, sort of over the course of the Time War, or at least his changed timeline of the Time War, I should say. Yeah, it's really fantastic. Those of you who know, obviously, I did recently do a custom of Terry Malloy's Davros, or the Julian Bleach's Davros with Terry Malloy's head, as is going to be seen on the cover of Time War 4. That's going to be in part 2 because it is a custom one, but it does show that, you know, that this design of Davros, you know, the sort of hybrid between the classic series and the new series, does look absolutely fantastic, and I thoroughly can't wait to see where they're going with that, Big Finish, where they're going with that story. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. But that brings to a close another collections showcase. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, favorite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot. Be sure to check out the description below for a link to my Patreon. I'm doing my very first figure animation and you can get involved. There's exclusive content and rewards for those who do so, and funding my Patreon in any way gets your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.